What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are talking draft picks. We're talking the best draft years for Port Adelaide. We're going to go through some of the best years in terms of picking up good players for our great club over the course of the last 21 years or so. So with the build up to this week's national draft in Sydney, which is at Sydney Olympic Park, I'm pretty sure. So that's on Friday the 24th. Picking these years was actually quite easy. All you had to do was look out for the key players and the ones that have made an impact over the course of their time. Ordering them was another task in itself. It was actually quite difficult to pick 1 to 5. But as we go through, you'll know the reasons why. So let's have a look at the best 5 draft years for Port. So coming in at number 5, it was a quite recent draft, and I think we can all agree that the picks that we had and the players that we've got are really starting to shine. Coming in at pick 38 was Mason Shaw. He is no longer at the footy club. Couldn't make an impact, but was a tall forward and was a good pick-up at the time. Pick 29 is Tommy Cleary. As we know now, he's a mainstay in that defence for Port, and he's looking like he's going to be one of the better players that we've had in this recent era of players. And obviously pick number 7, an absolute steal, the bull himself, Ollie Wines. So 2012 was a draft. Wasn't a big draft. It was filled with a lot of good key players that went to other clubs. So to pick up Ollie Wines at number 7 in the years that we were kind of struggling is definitely a good pickup, and will, as we know, should be a future captain in the next coming years. Number 4 in the best years for Port Adelaide in terms of the draft. This one was a little bit less filled, but it's got a special touch at the end that I thought probably put it ahead of 2012 itself. Pick 6, we picked up the biggest steal in the club's history, I reckon. Chad Wingard. He was supposed to go to GWS. They got like the first 5 picks of the draft, first 4 picks, I think, something like that. And he came out and stated that if he was traded anywhere besides South Australia, he would request a trade home. So Chaddy came to Port and he's making a big impact now. 2-time All-Australian, played over 100 games, kicked over 200 goals, and he's going to be an absolute star coming into his prime years already. Pick 45 was Brendan Archie, as we know, who now is heading off to West Coast. Probably a promising talent that we really should have utilised a bit more, but nonetheless, he was a good pickup too. 51 was Nathan Blee. Didn't make a big impact at all at the club. Played at the back end of 2011 and 12. Back end of 2012, sorry. So he was a defender and didn't really make an impact, but he was still a good pickup and developed quite nicely. And the pre-season draft was just after this draft, and we picked up John McCarthy in pick 8 in the pre-season draft. So he made a great impact in 2012, and unfortunately, as we know, the circumstances that occurred at the end of the year. So rest in peace, John McCarthy. But yeah, number 4 for 2011 draft. Alright, number 3 on the list of best years for Port Adelaide in the draft. This one was a big draft. 2008, we picked up a lot of players that made some impact at the club and are still playing. Pick 4, we picked up Hamish Hartlett, who is still playing at the club right now. Played over 100 games and finding his feet in the half-back line. Jackson Trengove was pick 22. He's now at the Bulldogs, as we know. Definitely a bloke who has leadership and a good quality player, and stayed with us through the hard times, so for sure he was a good pickup as well. Pick 33 was Matthew Broadbent, another bloke who's a regular namestay in the club today. Mitch Banner, who made some impact in the early part of the teen years, unfortunately got delisted after that. Jared Redden wasn't much of an impact in the ruck, but he was still a good pickup nonetheless. Later down the track, Glenn Dawson had no impact at all. And Jason Davenport, who, as we know, single-handedly won the game against West Coast in 2010, was definitely a good pickup and a good depth player for sure. So 2008 wasn't a bad draft, but certainly we picked up some good players for sure. Okay, number 2 on the list was quite easy. to be honest. We picked up 3 key players, 3 premiership players for Port Adelaide, and definitely I think you guys can all agree that these blokes were genuine stars, and one of them is still playing today. Pick 12 was Sean Burgoyne, who, as we know, is now playing at Hawthorn and just captained the international rules side. And he's he's an outright legend of the Port Adelaide Football Club and the Hawthorn Football Club. Premiership with Port, 3 with Hawthorn, and yeah, his brother Peter was also a fantastic player for Port. So Burgoyne was definitely one of the better players, and unfortunately we had to lose him, but he will go down in history as one of the greats. Pick 20 was Kane Corns, the most games played for Port Adelaide with 300 exactly. He was a genuine star. One bloke that you could just rely on to shut down a player and single-handedly do so without any trouble at all. He was an elite runner, a good kick at the footy, and hit the scoreboard on the odd occasion as well. And most famous for shutting down Simon Black in the 2004 Grand Final, which I think personally was one of his great games in history. He was an All-Australian as well, and 2007 was one of his great years as well. So Kane Corns was definitely a good pick-up that year. Alan Murray at pick 35 didn't have much impact at the club at all. And to be honest, me being my age, I don't even remember Alan Murray, but he was on the list, so I had to put him there. Pick 50, which I think is almost comes under a steal, with Dom Cassisi. Over 200 games, premiership player and captain between 2008 and 2012, was it? Yes. 2009 and 2012. Yeah, those 3 years. So the 2000 draft was high quality, and we got some good players for sure. Okay, number 1. The best draft year for Port Adelaide was 2006. Now, you'll hear me why. I'm going to grab my list so I can actually read it out for you. So, the 2006 draft consisted of players from pick 5, Travis Boak, pick 23, Paul Stewart, pick 39, Nathan Cracker, pick 55, Robbie Gray, pick 71, Justin Westhoff, pick 83, Ryan Williams, pick 86, David Roden. Now, I don't know about you, but that is one quality draft. Pick 5, Travis Boak, over 200 games, now captain of the Port Adelaide Football Club and a genuine star, my favourite player. Paul Stewart, played over 100 games. Pick 23 was a solid pickup, great utility player. Definitely a forward option in those lean years that we had. Nathan Cracker, genuine star. Unfortunately, certain circumstances hindered his career, but nonetheless was definitely a great pickup for the club. And as we saw, just retired at the end of this year. Pick 55, Robbie Gray. One of the best players in the AFL, one of the best players to play for Port Adelaide, and to get him at pick 55, take your money and run. It's like that IKEA ad, you know. Justin Westhoff, pick 71, the Hoff, the Beard. To think, we picked up a beard at pick 71. Amazing. What drafting by Port Adelaide. Pick 83, Ryan Williams, well, didn't do much. Cool, I don't think. And pick 86, David Roden. The little roadrunner who was an exceptional player when we had him in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. Went to Melbourne afterwards. But he was just an outright star. And 2006 was probably the best draft. You know, like this year with the trade period for Port, definitely the best. That's the best draft year for sure. Those high quality players are still playing today after 11 years. Credit to the Port Adelaide Football Club recruitment department. Bravo. Well, Port fans, I hope you enjoyed this top 5 list of the best draft years for Port Adelaide. I will give an honourable mention to 2016. As we know, the likes of Joe Atley, Willem Drew, Sam Powell-Pepper, Todd Marshall, I'm forgetting another one, Peter Adams as well, was all picked up last year. I didn't want to pick them in just in case we don't know how they'll develop over the time, but definitely we'll revisit this list in the coming years, and if these players have all developed into superstars, then we're going to slot it right in, because it's a talented draft that we picked up last year, and they're already looking like absolute stars. So definitely that one will certainly be one of our better draft years for sure. Let me know in the comments below what you think of your best draft years, the picks that really mattered. There'll be more to come this week with more draft videos as well. We're going to have a look at the best picks of all time for Port Adelaide, some of the draft steals, and maybe, just maybe, some of the less likely, we won't say worse because they all contributed to the club, but definitely we'll have a look at that later on in the week, so stay tuned for that. If you are new, please, if you enjoyed this content, subscribe for more Port Adelaide content. Definitely going to stick around over the off season, there's plenty more still to come. The Porches podcast will be running next Monday nights from around 8-9 PM, something like that, on Port Fan Radio, so tune in for them. The link is in the description below for the Facebook page if you're not like that already. That's it, I'm done. Thank you very much for watching, Port fans. My name's Anthony. Go the Power!